Have you ever sat around talking with your car buddy about a build and road trip that would be awesome, but because it's a terrible financial choice and you know it would be a disaster, you never actually do it? Well, this is one of those builds. Instead of just a normal build series, I wanted to give myself a real challenge. I wanted to buy a stock 37-year-old VW, pick it up, drive it 500 miles, swap the engine in 2.5 days, then drive it home 630 miles. With only 4 days to get the swap done and drive home, I knew we had a tough task ahead of us. Over the years, I've owned a ton of VW and Audi models, but there's always been one Wookiee-sized hole in my heart. The VR6 is one of the most beloved VW engines of all time. This 15-degree V6 engine has a unique sound that many say sounds like a Wookiee. How could I call myself a real VW guy never having owned a VR6 engine, making that sweet, sweet music? A solo project like this wouldn't be much fun, which is where this guy comes into the picture. This is my friend Charles, better known as the Humble Mechanic.
Paul's calling.
Are you up for a project that's going to ruin a week of your life?
What kind of project am I going to ruin my life over?
We have a road trip in mind.
Yeah, okay. Well, if there'll be shenanigans and good times had, I count me in.
First, I set off to purchase a car. I knew I was looking for an interesting, unique, older water-cooled VW, which would either be a Mark I or Mark II. The first car I found was located in Florida. It was a Mark II Golf that was painted to look like a taxi. No, not that kind of taxi. This Mark II was used as an extra in the Captain America Civil War movie, and despite only being in the movie around 2.5 seconds, I thought it'd be pretty cool to resurrect it. Now is where this guy comes in. Jamie owns a European specialty shop in Florida called Elite Motorworks. Jamie was foolish enough to allow us to convince him to do this swap at his shop. My plan was simple. For Charles and I to go pick up the Golf, get it running if we can, then drive it to Jamie's shop where we swap the engine and drive it home to the Charlotte area. Unfortunately, while we were working out logistics, the owner of the Mark II notified us he could no longer wait, even though he wouldn't take a deposit or prepay for the car, and it was sold to somebody else. At this point, the engine, transmission, and swap parts had already been shipped to Jamie's shop. Being that Jamie had our engine and we were now carless, I searched all the areas between us and Jamie's shop and located this 1984 Scirocco. It was all original and completely stock car. I drove to Atlanta, bought the car, and drove it 3 miles up the road to Eurofed, which is where the car stayed until Charles and I could coordinate the journey. If we only knew the problems we were in store for. So today, Charles and I are off to go get the Scirocco. We're off to Atlanta. We're gonna go pick it up. We have found out from them that it is already broken and doesn't start. We believe it needs a fuel pump, so we are off to a good start. Let's go.
I hope that's the only thing we run into.
Probably.
Hashtag foreshadowing.
To start our journey, our battery on our Touareg is dead. So let's jump it off.
Get a 200,000 mile Touareg and drive it 5 states away, they said. It'll be a good idea, they said.
Well,
I think we made it 0 feet before we hit our first problem. Work. Uh-oh. Woo! Okay. Yeah. All right.
So we're driving our 204,000 mile Touareg, mostly as a just in case our Scirocco breaks down. This car isn't probably the most reliable of the many options we have to choose among us, but it is one of the best ones that we could tow a car with.
Did you surprise me with a TTRS instead?
Yes, I got.
I heard it was red. Oh, it's this one.
It's a different color red.
Well, the tires are little. Okay, well.
Check out that sweet interior.
It's very dirty and gross looking.
It doesn't smell like a smoker's car, but it has it's got a nicotine stained yellow flavor to the seat tin.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Look, as long as it gets us there and back, I'm happy.
I'm not confident. That's
Nobody's confident.
Yeah.
Also looks like we're missing a belt here. What is this? This thing doesn't have power steering anyway, Paul.
Oh, hey, imagine that. We didn't even need a rack.
Yeah. So based on where this mount location is, our VR is going to be like here.
Way front.
Way front.
forward.
It's pretty rusted. Pretty rusted.
Do we have wheels for this car?
We don't have wheels for this car.
Dang it.
We're rocking 14s, bro. 14s. I actually love these wheels, though.
Flossing on 14s.
Yeah. Flossing on
honestly,
14s.
they look kind of silly. And
let me pause and backtrack. I said we're rocking on 14s.
13s.
They are actually 13s. So my B, my B. What is that? Rust repair?
it appears as though we have some DIY rust repair right here. I guess you could say it's still red, but it's something.
That looks awful.
It looks awful. Rust would have looked better. Just leave the rust, people.
Don't mess with the rust, man.
Let the rust fall off on its own.
We need it for balancing when we put the VR in it, because the VR is so heavy the car's gonna flip over.
You thought we didn't have a belt?
Well, we don't have an AC belt,
That's okay.
but we don't need that.
We don't need that.
That's at least this belt. If we had to, we could probably get one at a parts store. 178,046. It's still got the factory tape player in it. Definitely has one blown speaker back there. Can you buy tapes anymore?
I don't know.
We are making money on this thing. Look at this. There's like $2 and change, if not more.
We should use that to buy an air freshener for this thing.
Or a tape at a truck stop.
Because this cover for the fuel pump right here is quite rusty. Well, in an effort to verify the diagnosis, we can show you that this works and this does not work. So the fuel pump on this, the guys here at Eurofed diagnosed as bad. Fuel pumps oftentimes can get kind of stuck and hung up, and if you hit them with a hammer or the hammer side of a wrench, you can get it to kick over. So Charles is in the car, and I'm gonna tap this guy to see if I can get it to kick by giving a little tap, tap, tap-a-roo. Cycle it. Firing. See? There you go. Piece of cake.
Oh God.
Turn it off.
What is that?
I hear something gushing. That was a lot of fuel that came out of that thing.
If you saw, there was gas that dripped on the camera lens on Nathan, and then it just started dumping out of the fuel system because we weren't aware. During the diagnosis process, Eurofed had cracked a bunch of CIS lines loose. So we pissed fuel all over the floor.
They were trying to make sure that they were getting fuel up to the engine, and an easy way to do that is just to take one line off. The right move from a diagnostic standpoint, we just probably should have checked that stuff was all tight before we started cranking and banging.
There's a large amount of fuel coming out the front. They may have disconnected it somewhere.
Oh God.
Now the question is, do we want to just take this fuel pump with us and then roll?
I would much rather put that on here than on the side of the road.
Due to the conditions of the brake system in this car and the rust on a lot of these bleeder screws and things like that, means we cannot open this brake system during this build. If so, we will likely end up stranded because we won't be able to find parts, and we will run out of time to properly fix this car.
Brake line, that makes me a little uneasy. A caliper, a new caliper?
They said the calipers were not seized. Oh, a distributor rotor?
These don't exist on most cars anymore. This is a rotor.
When you say most cars, you mean any car?
Any car. Well, it exists on this car.
Yes.
Oh, look, we got some switches. Paul, check it out. I'm hitting switches.
No bags, no switches.
All right, let's get this fuel pump fixed.
Yes. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time to work on this car. We're fortunate that we're in a place that actually has a lift that will let us work on it. But we have to get to our hotel tonight because we have to also get to the shop tomorrow. If anything else is wrong in addition to this fuel pump, it could push us past that, and this whole timeline might slide for this project. Oh, it's out. Okay.
That's a nice little bucket you got.
It is a nice little bucket. Okay, so this new fuel pump has a fitting here for the banjo. Because it was all rusted and stuck together, we were gonna just take this one off and put that other stuff in here just so we can get it working without having to jerk around with it. Something just happened.
I dropped the crush washer in the bucket. It fell in like over here. I'm sorry.
We didn't need the crush washer that Charles just dropped in the bucket. Fortunately, thank God. He was able to separate some of the stuff so we don't have to try to reuse stuff from the car. So, crisis averted. I am spraying everything with penetrating oil because this car is completely covered in rust everywhere.
While you're on the rust topic though, keep in mind this is a southern car and we're going to Florida to swap it. So everybody in the Rust Belt that's like, that's not real rust, you're right. But we still have to deal with it, and we don't have a torch or anything else to properly deal with that stuff. So.
I definitely don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and nobody wants to deal with that stuff.
Okay, so the shifter was extremely floppity, and so we were getting underneath here, and this is a part of the linkage setup is right here that moves back and forth. This nut right here, Charles found that was completely loose, so he tightened that up, and it immensely helped the shifter. It'll be less loose than it was.
It'll be like bad, but less bad. All right, here we go. Fire in the hole.
Yeah.
Do the headlight? That works. Headlights work. Yeah, everything works. Wait, do the right turn signal.
Right front turn signal out.
The reverse lights don't work.
All right, there we go.
Oh, let me get that sleeve. A work order. All right, at least shot now. You're done. I think you'll make it to Florida. Whether you'll make it to your destination, I'm not so sure. Paul did a pretty good job buying this car kind of on a whim since our other one fell through. What are your overall thoughts on this thing?
I think the one thing that is most important to me is everything is here because it's mostly original and unmodified. You can't get replacement stuff. Yep. So if it's here, at least we know what's going on and we can deal with it accordingly. And most of it's in pretty good shape, I would say. Obviously the fabric's kind of crusty and gross and some other stuff. And we're putting a new engine in anyway, which is all, that stuff's terrible. So most of the stuff that's horrible in this car, we're getting rid of.
And let's face it, the ladies love a 1984 Volkswagen.
We're not gonna, oh Jesus.
When you turn the air conditioning on, disgusting. That video does not even come close to capturing how gross the blast in the face that we both got.
There was a fog of dust and debris that permeated out of the vents.
When do you think the last time that HVAC was turned on?
A decade at least.
That's kind of where I was. It was nasty and it stank.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. So keep going. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not gonna get it done. Oh my God. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Second gear.
Not get it done either. Thank God Nate's behind us. He's gonna get crushed before we do. That's first.
Is it?
That's gotta be first. That's close enough to first.
I don't know.
It's definitely not first.
We went to get started and I thought I was in first, but I wasn't in first, but then I couldn't find first. So we continued to stall a couple times. Yeah, it was fun. But here we are.
Yeah.
We're in fifth gear cruising, 75 miles an hour, 4,000 RPM. We're rolling.
Woo! We also learned a fun fact. This car has a 10-gallon fuel tank and it doesn't hold more than 10 gallons, despite how long you try to put more fuel in it. So we'll be stopping frequently for fuel.
This is turning right a little bit, and this is straight. So, I think, is there another speed?
That is fast speed.
I think this is the fastest speed we have.
Well, it's doing a good job of smearing the dirt on the windshield.
So we're gonna go get some windshield wipers.
What do you think that noise is?
We got a weird noise coming from our dashboard. Charles says he thinks it's a speedometer because it's a cable that's driven directly from a transmission to the instrument cluster. Let's see as we slow down if it goes down. Well,
totally the speedometer.
As soon as I took the clutch out, it went away. Where were we going?
That's even worse.
So as you saw in our footage, the wipers on this were quite poor.
What's going to happen at nighttime?
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be terrifying. recording right now. So this is Charles' first drive of the Scirocco.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Also terrified. We've driven a lot of miles. We'll see if I can manage to impact our success streak.
Biggest concern.
Biggest concern is obviously shifting.
Money shifting is the biggest concern.
You gotta
let's show the folks at home a detailed depiction.
One of the problems is the shifter. And as you can see, even after making a slight repair back at Eurofed, we got a lot of floppiness. Now, the side to side is not a big deal, the front to back is not a huge deal. It's this side to side that's just wicked.
It requires quite a bit of input. First, reverse, you got real good. I can't believe how easily you got that. Third and fifth are the real. Oh,
first.
There.
There we go.
It is.
Okay.
Third's,
I see you, dog.
Third's a little further over than you expect it to be. Fourth. All right. Very nice.
And we'll nurse our way up to fifth. Hey!
Yay!
Great success! Never been so excited to shift a car into fifth gear in my whole life. Okay, so hot take, super wind noise. The shifting is obviously a challenge, but other than a ridiculously crooked steering wheel, we're cruising at 70 and it's not bad. Like, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, those bushings being worn allows a lot of slop in there, which is why the pushing side to side hard was probably just because of the bushings were non-existent anymore and things were binding and not lubricated properly. So the best way to describe the feeling is when you go to shift into what should be a gear, there's nothing really there. It just moves around in that general vicinity and you don't actually know if you're in a gear or not in a gear.
Nothing like trying to shift into first, shifting into third, and the shifter still wiggling all the way back. All right, here's our Scirocco headlight. You can only see the one there. Paul, hit those high beams. This is not helpful at all. Okay, so I know it's dark, but we had to turn the high beams off. Paul, why did we have to turn the high beams off?
We had to turn the high beams off because the engine was causing a hesitation, and I just, as a complete whim, we thought it was the cat actually clogging up from misfires, and on a complete whim I turned the high beams off and it stopped hesitating. So you can't run high beams for too long.
No high beams.
For a TLDR version of this video, Charles will have a video on his channel with less shenanigans and less details around the technical parts of this series.
Hate it.
Is that supercharger?
Set her a little too hard.
That is definitely the supercharger.
You guys are so dark, I can't see anything.
That's gonna be the tires instead of the belts.
Please tell me you got that.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
So on top of belt squeaks for days.
The morning when we came out, the thing would not hold an idle at all. So we had to try to get the thing warmed up by revving it. Otherwise, it would stall out completely.
Oh boy. Just a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, yes, baby. That's an extremely reliable fuel system.
Oh, look at that high rev.
Stage 5 wheel bend, bro.
I mean, that's not really a serious bend, but for a 13, that's pretty impressive.
That's a large percentage of the overall radius of the wheel.
The good thing is
flat.
These wheels suck, so it doesn't matter anyway. Someone's gonna be mad at me for saying that, for sure. All original, bro. This car is not gonna be original. Maybe, I hope the interior we can keep original.
I love the interior.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
If we can get at the diarrhea / tobacco stains out of the
Sorry,
seats.
that was for me.
Day 2, we drove a bunch yesterday. Someone's honking their horn over there. We're getting going again. Hopefully we can make it. We only have about 2 hours left on our trip to make it to Jamie's shop. This car, amazingly, has done awesome. 179,000 miles on it. We didn't do much other than obviously replace the fuel pump, but this car drives pretty good, other than the fact it's difficult to find gears. Most gears, when I let out the clutch, I still have to kind of like, am I gonna money shift it or not? So impressively, it hasn't really had any problems other than a little bit of running this morning. About an hour out, and Charles is about to take probably the tail end of our journey here with the original engine. The first gear, when you have to get it back into first, sometimes it gets really hard, which traffic can make that a really big deal. I got pretty good at it. Charles is about to get good at it.
I hope I don't have to get that good at it. I hope we can just go.
That'd be amazing. We're currently in traffic.
This is the first bit of traffic we hit, which is pretty crazy.
This is the last journey of this engine in this car.
Yeah, it's a little sad. Almost a million years of this one engine.
37 years, and we're gonna get this thing to the trash heap.
The recycle heap.
We recycle. Of course we recycle.
Obviously. I hope we don't get eaten by an alligator, by the way. Or is it a crocodile here?
I don't know. I think, do they have both of them?
I don't know.
I think crocodiles. Whatever, they're all dangerous. Charles just said this is going to be the most excruciating part of this journey. I think he underestimates what the next 2 days is going to be like.
Fair enough. I'm a little lost. Fair enough.
Here we are. Elite Motorworks. Oh my goodness.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot.
Oh Jesus.
We made it. Made it.
Okay, so we made it in. We are at the shop that we're going to be doing the swap out. Charles is actually doing work while we're over here screwing around.
Someone's got to work.
Someone has to work. We didn't actually have any issues with the car going down here. Everything went smooth. We're at Jamie's shop now, and he is...
I'm the owner of Elite Motorworks. We do automotive service and repair for European cars. We're in Sarasota, Florida. I'm surprised you guys made it all the way down here now.
Yeah, he's also TikTok famous.
Okay.
Oh, that's a lot of pops and bangs.
You know, this is the last time this car is going to be running.
Yeah, thank God. Pops and bangs.
Dude, there's so much change under here. So strong.
You are. So now we're gonna get to work on this car. Well, Charles is already working, but we are trying to take out the interior to get the seats cleaned up by a professional, not us. We're gonna get the interior cleaned up. We're also going to rip this engine out. So let's go. It is kind of gross, which is what we're trying to ungross it right now. That's the goal, at least. Ungross it. Look at how amazing this looks under here. This looks legitimately like a new car. Just remember, Nathan, flashback and show what the fuel pump area looked like on our or on the all track with all the dirt everywhere. This thing looks amazing. That's the original color of the car.
Red.
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 Red. Red. Red.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Cool.
Oh man, when he cleans those up, it's gonna be amazing.
For Paul.
Oh, that's disgusting.
How old is this spare? It's gotta be the original
That's
tire.
the original spare.
It's gotta be. Oh, I just found like, I don't know, $12 worth of quarters. That's real silver.
Oh, this one is real silver.
Older than this car. Ooh, I'm telling.
That's a gallon of gas, bro.
What would be the first thing you do for this build?
Well, we're just gonna look at it and wait for it to just jump out. I think we look at it long enough.
If you do this,
Eventually it'll just come
gets it
out.
done.
Oh,
You gotta
man.
really get in there like this.
Wow. That's a sight I didn't see.
All right. Paul, Jamie, and I got it.
Okay.
Yep. You had it whether you knew you didn't. You better got it. This is how you know you got a gourmet service shop here.
The goal tonight is to get the engine out and have this entire engine bay cleaned up so that we can actually pressure wash it, have all the stuff ready to go for tomorrow when we drop the engine in. Let's see if it actually happens. And we got a podcast to shoot, so plug our podcast, Cars with Cocktails. James is gonna be a guest tonight.
Hey, Paul.
Hi.
What?
Sorry, I'll stop.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
What kind of engine is this?
Let's talk about fuel system. This is a CIS fuel system. It stands for crappy injection system. That's it. See right here we have our fuel filter. The fuel comes from the back of the car like this, goes through the fuel filter, then gets distributed to the block right here. This guy distributes the fuel to its appropriate place. It has a guy that spinny guy in there that distributes the fuel appropriately. And if you look, this guy right here is what determines how much fuel, because it determines how much throttle or air is flowing through this air box. Because this is where the air comes into the car. This is the air box, the air filter. This guy would be in here. Pretty much what you want to do with these is immediately throw them in the trash. They're garbage. You never want to use them. The only people who can tune them are 175 years old.
When they're right, they run really, really well. It's just such a disaster.
Very few people can actually tune these things properly, and it's usually only guys who worked in these cars when they were new.
Old men.
Which are much old. We're old, but not that old. CIS.
If this is clear, I'm going to be shocked. Oh, no.
It's liquid.
Yeah, it looks very thin.
Actually, not terrible.
Does it smell like fuel?
No.
Oh, it's chunky.
Sure, a radiator is probably in great condition then. Keep in mind, we drove this car the whole way here.
400 miles.
520 miles or something like that. I pulled this radiator out, nobody has touched this sensor, and I touched it and it moves. So we drove the entire way here with this sensor on the verge of puking coolant everywhere.
You're riding with the angels.
We are riding with the angels. Charles is an angel is what I'm saying.
Thanks.
Well, I'm pretty sure this stud on the starter is going to snap right off, which is just fine with me.
If this was a customer's car, that would have snapped.
But because it's a car that we're not using any stuff on,
Because we don't need it.
it's just loosening.
No, man. This is not mine, so I don't have to worry about, like...
It's the classic, like, I don't care, my car starts and I'm going home.
Yeah, you guys have, what, 700 miles to home? I've got 7 miles to my house.
And his car pretty much drives itself. So.
Yeah.
Nice wheels, man.
Hey, look how tiny. Like, I could throw this like a frisbee.
Right now I'm putting the chain leveler on, or the engine leveler, and then we're gonna hook this baby up and yank it out.
So we have our engine hoist on, we got our front mount and rear mount out of the engine. We need to get the transmission mount, which is on that side, and the driver's side mount is actually kind of sad. So we're gonna take that one out and then focus on this side over here.
I remember before we started that Charles said this would take 30 minutes.
That was a lie. I knew this wouldn't take 30 minutes. It took me almost 30 minutes to vacuum out the interior. Gun size.
Basically, there's like one bolt holding this thing on, and he's trying to get it out, but it's the only thing that's been giving us a problem. Once that thing's loose, this thing is free, so it's getting sketchy. You guys didn't sign my workers' comp form, right?
Here. I got the socket up here. This is what happens when you have rust, is you use torches. So I'm gonna be the Human Torch.
Can I be it? What is the Invisible Girl?
You can be the Invisible Girl.
What was the Rock Man?
Yeah,
Thing.
His name was Rockman.
Ben-Hur, he's the thing. He's also the face of our dashboard, aka our dashboard cracked face.
Oh, Nate, you need to get some torch footage, bro.
Oh!
Hey.
Charles is underneath the car
Turn down for what?
with an impact on this bolt, and
Jamie's got a giant flame.
has that. So,
All right,
here we go.
Burn, baby, burn! Hey, grab the fire extinguisher over there.
On the wall. I'm gonna go right over here.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Guys, you just gotta blow on it enough times. That's all. The part right there, you're not gonna see it from there, I don't think. There, in the middle of that white, there's the tip of a bolt, and that, yeah, that is what we're trying to get out.
Okay, so we're on the last bolt, of course, the last bolt for getting the whole engine and transmission assembly. And unfortunately, this bolt goes through a mount and then bolts to a captive washer nut on the body of the car. And that seized together, and it's a really tight spot. So we're having to do some things that are less than ideal. And we then can deal with that mount, at least in the engine bay, without the engine just sitting there. So. That's what I wanted. Oh, we're juicing.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we're juicing. We're juicing.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Now?
What was all that crunching noise?
Just some crunching.
There we go.
We're like on the same page here.
No.
Spooky, huh?
There we go. Yahtzee. Oh, don't worry about that. Good?
Yeah, we're good. We finally got the engine out! Mostly, kind of. I gotta say, that went much less smooth than my intentions were. However, it is what it be.
So some foreshadowing here. He just said that didn't go as well as he expected.
So young, so naive.
This is the best things go for the entire series. I'm about to do some cutting.
It's getting serious now.
Why don't we just like take this out with a wrench, Paul?
Well, we would have done that originally if we could.
Oh, you know, why didn't we think of that?
We considered it, but we decided this would be a way better choice.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So now 4 guys watching, 1 guy. How's that tasting, Brad?
Terrible. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Move your hand. I can't see. I think it's.
See right here?
It literally pulls right. That's why I was trying to get you to move your hand. I was like, this is literally about to come out. As you can see, I'm inside the engine bay.
He lives there now.
Yeah, this is my home now. Welcome home. So basically the plan now is for us to get rid of anything that we aren't keeping because we need to clean the engine bay and we don't want to have things hanging around that aren't going to stay. So that's what we need to remove. Unnecessary items.
We got to get rid of this pedal, which the cable went through here, and when I touched it, the bushing just completely came apart. We have a bracket that'll mount underneath there, and we have a electronic pedal that we'll install. So this is not needed anymore.
We have tried to minimize the stuff in the engine bay, which I think we did an okay job of succeeding. We have some more stuff to do in the morning, but we are probably at the end of. Oh, that guy needs to go. Yeah, you can see live, we're removing items live. So after we got the engine out, we pushed the car outside, we pressure washed it, and here are the results. End of day 1.
Yep.
How are you feeling?
At this point in time, I'm feeling pretty good, although my time frame of getting the engine out was a little skewed, but we're all still feeling pretty good. A successful day. We, I think, accomplished our goal.
We ended day 1, felt optimistic, and I think we left there pretty late.
It was 1 or so in the morning.
Yeah, but still felt pretty solid about it, coming in fresh, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed into day 2.
The brightest of eyes and the bushiest of tails.
A big thank you to all the brands involved with this build. Most importantly, us, ShopTap.com, Elite Motorworks. Dave over at TDC Shop was instrumental in getting us all the stuff we needed for this build. Eurowise for their engine swap parts, SoloWorks coilovers, Unitronic for the ECU tune, and BFI for the clutch parts.